Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, April the 27th. We got a 6-game slate to break down for Tuesday. As always, guys, we're going to go through each game and talk about each team on the 6-game slate. I'll give you my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at the slate on Monday night. But before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you would click that like button down below. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Once again, I should be live Tuesday afternoon around 4:30 Eastern time. If you guys do want to check my YouTube channel, then I'll be live breaking down the slate, answering all your questions, talking through everything once again in the live stream. So be sure to tune into that. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. As always, I do appreciate all your support. I appreciate all the likes. And let's go ahead and take a look at Tuesday's slate. So we'll start off with the OKC and Boston game. Right out of the gate, this is a super appealing game, mainly on the Boston side, just because the Celtics are going to be pretty shorthanded today. On OKC, though, there really isn't as much that I like from the Thunder. Lou Dort was out on Monday, but I'm expecting he'll play here Tuesday. He was out for a hip injury, but I'm assuming that he sat out Monday so that he could play today. So I'm expecting Lou Dort to be in. Tony Bradley, I don't, even if he's out again, I don't think that really changes much. Overall, I don't see a ton I really like from OKC, especially if Dort plays. Like, I guess you could play Lou Dort just because without SGA, without, Al Horford, he should continue to have a pretty high usage rate, should continue to play big minutes as long as the game stays close. Boston going to be without a couple key guys, so that makes it, a little bit more likely this game does stay close. Like, Dort's an okay option, but really this Thunder team is just not appealing. I don't really like any guys from OKC. Nobody, in my opinion, stands out at their price point. So I think we can go ahead and talk about the Boston side, where I do have a lot of interest in today. So we already know that Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker have already been ruled out. And then Robert Williams is questionable. Robert Williams has been out for a while now, but he's questionable for this game. Really the big news, though, is that Tatum and Kemba are out. So with Tatum and Kemba out, I think the first two guys that we can look to that benefit are Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. Jaylen Brown, I think, is probably one of the best plays on the slate. 8,400 on DK. The price tag didn't really adjust here for Tatum and Walker being out. And on Yahoo, Jaylen Brown also pretty affordable there, coming at $37. Just without Tatum, without Kemba, Jaylen Brown should dominate the usage on this team. His upside, he's already shown a lot of upside this year. He's definitely been a much better fantasy player than he was last season, just in terms of, his fantasy points per minute. He's been more productive. He's a high usage player, obviously, and getting Tatum off the floor, who's, a high usage player, getting Kemba off the floor, who, demands some usage as well. That's just going to allow for Jaylen Brown to, just do everything for this offense. The offense is going to run through Jaylen Brown. He should be the number one scoring option, overall. So I think at 8,400, he is a clear top option today. He's my favorite play overall from Boston, but there's a lot to like here. I think Marcus Smart looks really good as well. 6,600, people may be hesitant to pay that price tag for Marcus Smart, but he should start at point guard without Kemba, should play big minutes, should get a little bit more usage without Tatum as well. So I definitely like Marcus Smart as well. He's a guy that I'm looking to from this Boston team. $26 on Yahoo. I do like him a good amount there. Basically the same reason I like Jaylen Brown's, or the same reason that I like Marcus Smart here. Now, obviously, Marcus Smart doesn't have as much upside as Jaylen Brown, but still at 6,600, he can give us 40 plus DK points and be a really good play at this price point. We've seen him have good games in the past whenever you get Tatum out or whenever you get Kemba out. Smart's upside is just so much higher, and normally Marcus Smart is not someone I really play, but I do have interest in him today, given how shorthanded this Boston team is going to be. And then we can talk about some of the value pieces. Evan Fournier at 5K, I would like here with both these guys out, but since he's come back from COVID protocols, he just hasn't been that good. He's only played 22 and 20 minutes, and he's only scored 15 and 4 DraftKings points. That game against Brooklyn, I believe Jaylen Brown and Kemba were both out that game. So, yeah, it's so tough to trust Evan Fournier right now, even at 5K, even with all these guys out. I just don't know if I can go there until we see him actually have a good game. Could he go out there and put up a good game today? He could, but I think there's just other guys I'm going to prefer. I think we can look to some of these options under 4K, so I really don't know what the Boston starting lineup's going to be. I'm assuming that, I really don't know. I mean, they could go with Jabari Parker. They could go with Grant Williams. I'm expecting, obviously, Smart and Brown to start. I'm expecting, if Robert Williams plays, he'll start. If he doesn't play, Tristan Thompson will start. I don't think they're going to start Evan Fournier, but I guess they could. But yeah, like they might start Jabari Parker, they might start Peyton Pritchard, they might start Grant Williams, Romeo Langford's a candidate to start. Like they just have a lot of options. Starting lineup's going to be important, but I think regardless, Peyton Pritchard's probably my favorite value from Boston right now. Without Kemba, he should get probably at least like mid-20s minutes. Last time Kemba was out against Brooklyn, Peyton Pritchard did play 24 minutes in that game and did have a really good game, scored 33 DK points. I believe that was the game where Jaylen Brown was also out, so we're kind of getting the same scenario, if not a better scenario here for Pritchard, given that Tatum's out. Instead of Jaylen Brown, Tatum has a little bit of a higher usage rate over Jaylen Brown. So with no Kemba, with no Jason Tatum, with no Kemba, I think Peyton Pritchard definitely benefits. I think he's going to play at least mid-20s minutes, maybe close to 30 minutes. Should just be able to get more opportunity to score. Should get more shots up. Took 12 shots, last time when Kemba and Brown were out. So definitely like Peyton Pritchard. I think he's my favorite value from this Boston team right now. He's a guy that I'll for sure be looking to on both sides. He's super cheap on Yahoo as well. Minimum salary, $10 at point guard. He's a good value in my opinion. But then, it just depends on who's starting. Like if Jabari Parker starts, I like him a lot for value. Jabari Parker's always been a relatively productive player when he does get minutes. So he would definitely be someone I'd be considering for cheap if he starts. If he doesn't start, it makes it a bit risky, but should still get probably like 20, 22 minutes off the bench with Jason Tatum out. If Grant Williams starts, I think he's actually a decent value at $3,200. If Romeo Langford starts, you can maybe go to him, but regardless of the starting lineup, Peyton Pritchard I think is my favorite value from Boston, and then we'll have to wait and see who's in the starting lineup for the Celtics. But that does it for the Boston side. Moving on to the next game, we got Milwaukee and Charlotte. Now on the Bucks side here, for me, once again, I think it's just Giannis and that's it. I'm probably not playing Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton on this slate. There's just too many other guys I prefer over them. Like I'd rather play the Boston guys over Drew and Middleton. But Giannis, I think, is a top pay-up option for sure. Looking at the other studs that we have on this slate, you got Kyrie, you got Kevin Durant you could pay up for, you got Towns, you got Luka as well, you got Curry. Like there's plenty of pay-up options, but I think Giannis is definitely one of my favorites. He's just been so productive lately. We know what we're getting from Giannis on a nightly basis. He's back to playing his normal 34, 35 minutes a night. Matchup here against Charlotte is one that I definitely like. This is a matchup that Giannis should have a ton of success in. For what it's worth, last time they did play the Hornets earlier this season, Giannis did have 74 DraftKings points in 39 minutes. So he went off last time he played the Hornets. Would not be surprising if he has another monster game here. They don't really have anyone to slow him down. They're going to use like Cody Zeller, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, but none of those guys are going to stop Giannis. Giannis should be able to have his way. I think he's probably, right now, one of my favorite studs to pay up for today. There's a lot of good plays I like in the mid-range, but you can definitely get to Giannis. I think he should be pretty easy to get to if you do want to pay up for him. But on the Charlotte side, looking at the Hornets here, I don't really see a ton that I like from Charlotte. I think Terry Rozier is definitely viable at $7,700. He just continues to play well, continues to get monster minutes. He's a bit more risky now that, Devontae Graham is back, but still the upside on Rozier is definitely high, especially with Gordon Hayward and LaMelo Ball both still out. That just, increases the usage for Terry Rozier. He should play a ton of minutes, like I said. At $7,700, if I was going to play anyone from Charlotte today, it probably would be Terry Rozier. Miles Bridges has been really cheap on Yahoo. His price is coming up a little bit, but still at $25. I think you could roster him there. I probably wouldn't play him on DK, though. I think he's too expensive on DraftKings. PJ Washington, his price has gotten all the way up to $6,800. I know he's had two really good games back-to-back, but do I want to pay $6,800 for PJ Washington? Probably not. I think he's a little bit more expensive than I would like to pay. Devontae Graham is $6,200. Should probably play 32 to 34 minutes. If you want to go to him, I think he's a decent option too. Like, there's guys from Charlotte that are playable. I don't know if there's really any standout or core plays for me from the Hornets, but, Rozier, Miles Bridges on Yahoo, PJ Washington, Devontae Graham, these guys are all, playable. Just don't think any of them stand out as top options for me on this slate. So that probably does it for this game. Moving on to the next one, looking at Portland and Indiana. Now, in Portland today, they're basically fully healthy. They have everyone, pretty much healthy here. You got Damian Lillard at $9,100. His prices come way down. We saw him be, up in that 10K range for a while, especially while CJ McCollum was out. He hasn't really played that well lately. $9,100, that's a tempting price tag for Lillard, but still, I think there's other studs I'm going to prefer. Like, I'd rather play Giannis. I'd rather play Towns. I'd rather play probably Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I still don't think I'm going to play Lillard today, even at this pretty affordable price tag. I would say that if you made me choose between Lillard or McCollum, I would definitely rather play Lillard. But I don't think I'm going to play either one on this slate. Yusuf Nurkic is definitely my favorite play from Portland today. Now, his price has gotten way up there as well. He's up to 6,800. But we finally seen like the old Yusuf Nurkic these last 2 games. He's played 29 minutes in both games and has scored 59 and 53 DK points. I'm really not surprised to see those type of games from Nurkic. Dating back to last season, just dating back to previous years, Nurkic has always been a great point per minute player. He's always been a guy that has a ton of upside. He's someone that can stuff the stat sheet. And now that he's pretty much fully healthy, now that he's getting 28 to 30 minutes a night, it's not surprising to see Nurkic putting up 50 burgers. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up another 50 burger today. Even at 6,800, I'm willing to pay this price tag for Nurkic, especially with this Pacers team being so shorthanded down low. Like, they don't have anyone to stop Nurkic. Sabonis is out again, so it's going to be some combination of Goga if he plays, O'Shea Brissett, Jakar Sampson. Like, those are going to be the guys that have to try and stop Nurkic. So Nurkic should be able to have his way. Like him a lot here. 6,800 on DK. I think he's still viable. And on Yahoo, his price is a little bit more affordable there, $25. I think he looks even better on Yahoo at that price point. So Nurkic, definitely my favorite play from Portland. I don't think I'm looking to anyone else, though, outside of Nurkic. So moving on to the other side, looking at the Pacers here. The Pacers do remain pretty shorthanded. Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner are going to remain out for today. Jeremy Lamb and Goga Bitadze are both questionable again. Goga has not played in, I think, like a week or so. Yeah, he hasn't played in around a week. He's only 4K today, though, and I've been saying it lately. Whenever Goga plays, if he, assuming he's able to play at some point, like, I'm going to have interest in him while Sabonis and Turner both remain out. Last game that he played in against San Antonio, Sabonis and Turner were both out then. Goga did start and played 23 minutes, but he was in foul trouble that game. He also did get injured. He was on pace to play around 30 minutes, had that not happened. Assuming that Goga does play today and he does start and he's not on a minutes limit, I think at 4K, Goga is definitely one of the best value plays on the slate, assuming there's no limitation on him. But that's obviously news we're just going to have to keep an eye on. If he winds up out again, then you could look to a guy like O'Shea Brissett. He's obviously benefited without Goga these last few games. He's played big minutes. He's still pretty affordable at 5K. I would definitely have interest in Brissett once again if Goga sits. And you could also look to Jakar Sampson, who has been starting at center in place of Goga. He's super cheap still, 3,200. Played 27 minutes last game. Not a guy that really has much upside. But if he's going to start and play around 30 minutes for 3,200, you can't really go wrong there. Plus, he's got power forward and center eligibility on DK, which does make him an appealing value. But this is definitely a team we'll have to keep an eye on when it comes to the front court with Goga. That's obviously a really important injury. But Brogdon and LeVert, haven't touched on them yet. I think, once again, they're very strong options in the mid-range. Now, I probably do give the edge to Jaylen Brown over these guys. Like, I think I would rather play Jaylen Brown over Brogdon and over LeVert. But we've seen the upside on Brogdon and LeVert is just so high with Sabonis and Turner off the floor. These last few games without Sabonis and Turner, you've got 61, 45, and 49 DK points from Brogdon. He's played big minutes. He could have had a huge game last game against Orlando, but he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter because of the blowout. So still really like Brogdon, still really like LeVert as well. He didn't have that good of a game against Orlando last game, but we know the upside on LeVert is a lot higher when you take Sabonis and Turner off the floor. These two guys should continue to dominate the usage for this team. They're definitely in play for me. And then Goga, if he plays and he's not limited, I like a lot for value. If he's out, though, you could look to Brissett. You could look to Jakar Sampson. But that does it for the Pacers for me, I think. I'm probably not considering anyone else. Edmund Sumner has been playing pretty well lately. At 4K, if you want to go to him, I think he's an okay value, but I just never feel good rostering Edmund Sumner. Like, this is not someone that has a ton of upside. I know he's put up 30-plus DK points in back-to-back games, but I think that's kind of an outlier. He's not really a good point-per-minute player. But, if the Pacers remain shorthanded, if Lamb's out, if Goga's out, then I guess Sumner's an okay option. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game and talk about Brooklyn and Toronto. So on Brooklyn today, obviously James Harden's going to remain out, but we do know that Kyrie and Kevin Durant are going to be available to play here. Kyrie, 9,500. Kevin Durant, 8,300. I think Kevin Durant's the guy that I like from Brooklyn the most today. At this price point, he does look super appealing. Now, they said they're going to keep him under 30 minutes for, I believe, a few more games. He only played 28 minutes last game against Phoenix. He did come off the bench that game, which was kind of surprising. He also didn't check in till late in the first quarter, early second quarter, but he still did play 28 minutes, and he was very productive, had 53 DK points. We know without Harden that the usage on this team is going to be dominated by Kyrie and KD, and we've seen that these last few games. If we're going to get 30 minutes from Kevin Durant, with his price where it is now, 8,300, I think he does look pretty appealing today. Makes for a pretty strong pay-up option. Hopefully they decide or they move him back into the starting lineup. I guess if he comes off the bench again, it does make him a bit risky, but I would still expect we get about 28 to 30 minutes from Durant. And at 8,300, he can put up 50 DK points in 30 minutes, especially with, James Harden out. So I definitely like Kevin Durant. I think given the savings, I do prefer him over Kyrie. But on Yahoo, I would probably rather roster Kyrie because he's $50. Kevin Durant's $43. I don't think that's enough of a discount to where I would want to roster KD. But on DraftKings, you get a pretty big discount going down from Kyrie to Kevin Durant. Kyrie's also in play for sure. You could definitely pay up for him. I think there's some other guys I'd rather go to today, like Giannis. We're probably going to talk about Karl-Anthony Towns, who I do like, but Kyrie definitely in play as well. Overall, though, I think that probably does it for this Brooklyn team. I don't think I'm playing any of the secondary pieces. Unless DeAndre Jordan starts at center again. If he does start at center, you can maybe consider him as a value, 4,300. Usually when he starts at center, he plays around 25 to 30 minutes. So if you want to go to him if he starts, I don't mind that. Bruce Brown is out, so maybe we see more minutes for like Landry Shamet or Tyler Johnson, but I don't think I'm going to roster either one of those guys on this slate. So we can go ahead and talk about the Toronto side. Now on Toronto, I don't really like much here. Worth noting that Toronto is on a back-to-back today, and Toronto has been super, when it comes to resting guys, they've been quick to rest players. So don't be surprised if some guys from Toronto get rested today. Just keep an eye on it. Assuming that everyone's good to go, though, at their price tags, I don't really like any Raptors on this slate. They're just, I'd rather play Jaylen Brown over Fred VanVleet. I'd rather play him over Siakam. I'd rather play, Brogdon and LeVert over these guys. So overall, I just don't really like any Raptors today. Kim Birch, he had a decent game, 31 DK points in 29 minutes, but do I want to play Kim Birch on this slate? Not really. If Goga plays, I'd rather play Goga for cheaper. So yeah, the Raptors, when they're fully healthy, they're just a tough team to roster just because you never know which guy's going to put up the big game on a nightly basis, and that kind of feels like today's slate. You could always play these guys in tournaments, but me personally, I don't think I'm going to roster any Raptors today. Unless we get news that guys get ruled out, then that's obviously going to change things. But for now, assuming that everyone plays, nothing from Toronto really stands out to me. So moving on to the next game, we got Minnesota and Houston. On the Minnesota side today, Karl-Anthony Towns at 10K. I do like a good amount as a pay-up option. Really like this matchup for him against Houston. This is definitely a matchup he should be able to have a ton of success in. He's played really well against the Rockets so far this year, has averaged 60 DraftKings points per game against them through 2 games. We've seen centers have really good games against the Rockets this season. This should be a fast-paced game, should be one of the highest-scoring games on the slate, so definitely like Towns. I think he's a really good pay-up option today. Would rank him up there with a guy like Giannis in terms of favorite spend-off for me. Anthony Edwards at his price tag, I don't love really. D'Angelo Russell, though, at 6,300, I definitely have interest in. He did have a really good game once again on Monday against Utah. Played 31 minutes off the bench, had 53 DK points. I don't know, I've been saying it recently. I feel like at some point they're going to move Russell back into the starting lineup. I have no idea when it's going to happen. But even if he comes off the bench, if they're going to continue to play D'Angelo Russell 30 minutes off the bench, he obviously has the upside to pay off 6,300. He's a very productive player when he's on the floor. He's a guy that can score. He can get assists. He's a high-usage player. I do like D'Angelo Russell a lot today. I think at 6,300, he looks super appealing to me. He is definitely a guy I have a lot of interest in. Him and Towns are my 2 favorite plays from this Minnesota team, and I do like Russell a lot on Yahoo as well. He's coming in at $21 at the shooting guard position. I think he looks like one of the better shooting guard plays along with Marcus Smart. Russell definitely too cheap on Yahoo, in my opinion. I would say he's probably my favorite play from Minnesota, followed by Karl-Anthony Towns. But those are the 2 guys I'll really be looking to from the Timberwolves. Now on the Houston side, we do know that John Wall is going to be out for the season. They've already ruled him out for the rest of the season. Christian Wood, though, at the top for 8K. Definitely have interest in him in this matchup. Against Minnesota, a team that plays pretty fast, doesn't play much defense. This is definitely a good matchup for Christian Wood. The prices come down a little bit to 8K. He's someone you could look to. I don't think he's a top option for me, but definitely viable from Houston. I would say that my favorite play from the Rockets, though, is Kevin Porter Jr. 6,500 for KPJ with John Wall out. Obviously, Kevin Porter Jr., not really someone I've rostered a ton this year, at least when John Wall's been healthy. But when I have rostered him, that's been whenever, John Wall's been out. And John Wall's going to be out for the season. So Kevin Porter is definitely someone we are going to want to look to roster. I'm assuming that his price tag is going to, just keep rising as the days progress, as he gets more time on the court without John Wall. He's probably going to get up to 7K, 7,500 in a couple weeks. So we do want to get on him while he's still just 6,500. He's the main beneficiary with John Wall off the floor. He's a guy that I do have a lot of interest in from Houston. I think he's my favorite play overall from the Rockets, followed by Christian Wood. But overall, outside of those two guys, I don't see too much else I like on Houston outside of Wood and KPJ. So moving on to the last game of the night, we got Dallas and Golden State. On the Dallas side today, the Mavs are on a back-to-back, so keep an eye on that. Kristaps Porzingis did not play on Monday in the front end of their back-to-back. Josh Richardson was also out. I'm assuming that both of those guys play. If both Porzingis and Josh Richardson play, obviously with Porzingis in, that takes me off of guys like Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber. I'm not going to play those guys if Porzingis is in. Luka at 10-9, regardless of if Porzingis is in or out, I think Luka is definitely viable. There's other studs I'd rather play, though. I'd rather play Giannis. I'd rather play Towns. I'd rather play these mid-range options that we've talked about, like, Brogdon, LeVert, Jaylen Brown. Depending on what kind of value we get, maybe this could be like a stars and scrubs slate. Maybe we'll be able to pay it for multiple studs today. But if I can only choose one stud, I don't think Luka's going to be the guy that I get to. I don't see a ton overall that I really like from Dallas. I mean, obviously you could play Luka, you could play Porzingis, but neither one are top options for me. There are other studs I think I would rather pay up for today outside of these Dallas guys. So moving on to the Golden State side and looking at the Warriors here, my favorite play from Golden State is probably, as it always is, it's Draymond Green. 7,400 for Draymond Green. Again, still feels a little bit too cheap. We know Draymond Green has the upside to pay off this price point. He's done it in back-to-back games. 44 DK points against Denver, 46 against Sacramento. He's going to play, 35, 36 minutes here if this game stays close. Draymond Green obviously has triple-double upside. He's a guy that can just stuff the stat sheet, can do everything, can get you points, rebounds, assists, can get defensive stats. He's got legit 50-point upside. So Draymond at 7,400 is my favorite play from Golden State. Curry, again, another guy that you can always play, but there are other studs I'd rather play over Curry. Curry's just not a guy that I really roster much. He's just so scoring dependent. Like, if Curry's not knocking down a ton of shots, then he's not really going to get you there just because he doesn't contribute much with peripherals. He doesn't really get a ton of rebounds. Assists, you would think Curry would get a ton of assists, but he really doesn't. I'd rather play Giannis. I'd rather play Towns. I don't think I'm going to play Curry on this slate. He's like my 4th or 5th favorite stud. There's a lot of guys I would rank ahead of him. So Draymond's the guy that really stands out from Golden State to me. That probably does it, though, from the Warriors. I don't think I'm going to play Wiggins or Oubre today or any of these other secondary pieces. So we covered all 6 games, guys. I think we broke down everything team by team. I hope you guys did enjoy the the game by game breakdown. As always, guys, I do appreciate you watching. Be sure to hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well, and be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. Once again, should be live Tuesday afternoon around 4:30 Eastern time. If you guys do want to come and tune in, I'll be live breaking down the slate, answering all your guys' questions, talking through everything with you guys once again in the live stream. But best of luck tonight. Appreciate your support as always. Good luck tonight, guys. We'll see you in the next video.